You're listening to Stephen Michaels. This is the Raiders Daily Podcast.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Stephen Michaels. Welcome to the #1 Raiders podcast in the world. This is the Raiders Daily. This is the Raiders versus the Broncos preview show. This game will be in Mile High. Both teams are coming off big losses, two big losses. Both teams are on a 2-game losing streak. As you know, the Raiders shit the bed against Chicago. They play terrible, but there's a lot of things going on. And then, of course, they lost against the Chargers the week prior. Meanwhile, the Broncos, they lose against the Steelers and the Ravens. Two teams the Raiders beat, by the way. But this is a game, when you look at it, the Raiders offense, they need to show up. And it is going to be a tough task. I don't care if you have John Gruden or you don't have John Gruden. We don't know how this team is going to play, obviously. The good news is Carr is with Greg Olsen. They know each other. Maybe they'll be more aggressive. We don't know what's going to happen. This is something that's not very common. Usually when a coach gets fired, the season's already over. They're 0-8, as you know. The Raiders are 3-2. They're tied for second place right now. They're only one game back from first place. So this is a different type of deal here. Something that most teams, I don't know when the last time this has happened. When a coach resigned when a team's actually winning. When they're 3-2. So you can't just throw away the season. They got a lot of football to play ahead of them. And they got a big game in Mile High. Hopefully, mentally, this team can get on the right track and focus. Because they were not focused against Chicago. They looked terrible. On defense, the Raiders could not stop the run. And that's been a problem, I think, all season long. It's finally starting to show itself. Teams are finally starting to run down the Raiders' throats. I seen signs of it against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then last week, Chicago really, really showed it off. Something that I talked about in the preview show, I was scared about. It happened. It happened. You know, the Bears just kept running the ball. It's not getting any easier this week in Mile High. The Raiders come in against the Broncos defense. Against the Broncos offense that right now they are ranked 12th in the NFL in running the football. And compare that to the Raiders defense, who they're not really good at stopping the run, as you know. They're ranked 25th in the NFL. So that is going to be probably the Broncos' game plan here. They run the ball down the Raiders' throats. Gordon, he has 282 yards. Williams has 247 yards for the Broncos. These are going to be Raiders got to stop these running backs. They got to stop the run. They need to. If they can do that, this defense can be a lot better. Now, they have other things they need to improve on, especially they should be able to do in this game. I don't buy this offense for the Denver Broncos. I don't think they're really that great, to be honest with you. They're just not that great. First of all, let's take a look at this. We know the Raiders front four, they're pretty good, right? We all know that. The Raiders front four, they can get after it. They're, I believe, tied for sacks. I think they have 11 sacks on the season. I think that would be 13th in the NFL, I believe. So this Broncos offense, they give up a lot of sacks. They have given up 14 sacks on the season. That's 27th in the NFL. Now, we all know the Raiders' offensive line is no good, and Derek Carr has been taking his own fair share of sacks. So that offensive line has to hold up for the Raiders because the Raiders are no better. In fact, they're worse. They gave up 15 sacks so far in the season. They're ranked 28th. But either way, the Raiders' front four, they need to get after Teddy Bridgewater. They need to. They got to get after this guy. On offense, the Broncos, their third down percentage, the worst in the NFL. 28.6%. That is 32 in the NFL. 32 out of 32. The worst in the NFL. That's something the Raiders must take advantage of. By the way, the Raiders on third down on defense, they're ranked 13th. So that's, right in the middle of the pack, pretty much. That's where we want the Raiders to be. We know that it would be impossible for this team just to jump out to be the number one defense in the NFL, but still, that's still pretty impressive here that they're stopping these teams on third down. So we will see how good they are when it comes to that. I'm sorry, they're ranked 9th in the NFL, not 4th. So we will see how good they are on defense on third down, because with the Broncos coming in, like I said, not being that good at all on third downs on offense, maybe this Raiders defense can force some 3-and-outs. But more importantly, what I think this defense for the Raiders need to do in this game, because the Raiders are going to have to rely on their defense a lot. Because like I said, the Broncos defense is no joke. So the Raiders defense, they got to try to make this a low-scoring game. They need to do that. And perhaps they can, but one of the areas they have to be better at in this game is getting some turnovers, creating some turnovers. Because right now, the Raiders, they have 1 interception on the year. That's 28th in the NFL. That's not really good. Takeaways, the Raiders are tied for 29th in the NFL with 3 takeaways. Not very good. They need to start creating turnovers on that defense. They really do. I mean, everything else, the Raiders have been pretty good, except for against the run, obviously. Against the pass, like I mentioned, they're 4th in the NFL. They're 4th in net passing yards. So that's pretty good. Points per game, they're ranked 17th. That's pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. Average, I would say. Yards per play on defense, the Raiders are ranked 5th. Now, when you compare that, though, against the Broncos, listen to this, guys. Net yards per game, the Broncos are ranked 3rd. Yards per play, Broncos are ranked 3rd. Points per game, Broncos are ranked 2nd. They don't give up a lot of points at all. That's why this should be a low-scoring game. Rushing yards, Broncos are ranked 6th in the NFL. Passing yards, Broncos are ranked 6th in the NFL. So even on interceptions, they're ranked 10th in the NFL. They have 4 interceptions. Fumble recoveries, they have 2. That's tied for 12th. Takeaways, they have 6. That's tied for 11th. Sacks, they're 10th in the NFL with 12 sacks. So they're pretty good. The third down defense, though, like I mentioned before, they're 21st in the NFL. That's something the Raiders can work on there. Converting on third down will be key in this game for the Raiders offense. Maybe, just maybe, they can do some of that. Now, also, speaking of defense for the Raiders, like I said, they're not good against the run. We all know that. They've been terrible. They've been absolutely awful against the run game. Terrible. And I already mentioned the turnovers. They got to start creating turnovers. But one thing that really stands out when you look at the stat sheet of what the Raiders have done this season, on defense, the Raiders simply have been terrible when it comes to the other team, the opposing team, having the ball in the red zone. The Raiders they're ranked 31st in the NFL in the red zone. That is not good. That means the opposing teams are scoring 90% of the time when they're in the red zone. That is terrible. By the way, the Broncos defense in the red zone, guess what? They are 6th, 50%. They are 6th. So this is a good defense the Raiders are about to play here. The Broncos are, without a doubt, they are pretty much a top 10 defense, maybe even better than that. Points per game, they're only averaging, the other opposing teams are only averaging 15.2 yards. That's all the Denver Broncos are giving up. So it's going to be a tough battle for Derek Carr. But Derek Carr is going to be huge in this game. He has to be huge. This is a game with all of the noise that's going on, with the Gruden situation and all of that. This is a game where we need to see Derek Carr become a leader. This is a game where we've been waiting for. Derek Carr's waiting for the offseason to get paid. This is where he earns his money. This is where he could get that contract extension if he wants one from the Raiders. This is how you earn it. When everything is against you, the world is pretty much against you at this point. The Raiders can go out there, and if Derek Carr can lead this team to victory, it will do wonders for this team mentally. It really would. That team that played against the Chicago Bears last week, their head was not in that football game. Go back and look at it. Bryan Edwards dropping passes, Darren Waller dropping passes, and even Hunter Renfrow dropping passes. You know, when Hunter Renfrow drops passes, there's something, there's a problem there, right? So their heads were not in that game against Chicago. Absolutely not. If the Raiders would have played that game 2 weeks ago, I guarantee you they destroy Chicago. Even with that terrible offensive line they have right now. Which, by the way, I should say, since Gruden is gone and Mike Mayock is still there, Mike Mayock has to make some kind of move to bring in more bodies at the offensive line position. Because right now, it is not working. I don't care if you're Joe Montana or Tom Brady or whoever. You're not going to be a great quarterback when you're getting sacked every play. When you can't even read the field. You can't scope the field because you have a linebacker in your face as soon as you snap the ball. So that offensive line for the Raiders, they need to figure something out. Tom Cable probably needs different people, different players to rotate in and out. Now, the Raiders are not going to have Richie Incognito probably till after the bye, so that's not going to help them right now. And they're going up against, like I said, one of the best defenses in the NFL. The Denver Broncos on defense are awesome. They really are. Now, on offense for the Broncos, I don't really buy Teddy Bridgewater that much. I don't think this guy's that great, to be honest with you. I really don't. I mean, he's no Derek Carr, let's just say that. The Broncos, by the way, with net passing yards, they're ranked 22nd in the NFL. Meanwhile, the Raiders, they're ranked 4th. So Derek Carr he's getting a lot of stats. He's throwing that ball around. Now, rushing, we already talked about that. That is a bad area for the Raiders. Raiders got to find a way to run the football. But with an offensive line like that, it's really hard to do. But they got to. I mean, they're ranked 29th in the NFL in the run game. They have Josh Jacobs. They have Jalen Richard back. They got to figure something out here. They're ranked 29th in the NFL. The Broncos on offense, they're ranked 12th running the football. And they're going to do that against the Raiders. We know that. We already know that. But the Raiders offense, this is something they got to do. They have to figure out how to get in the end zone and put some points on the board against a really good defense. A defense that does not allow many points at all, that is really good in pretty much all phases on defense. You have to try to exploit them. Hopefully, in this game, the Raiders can get any kind of run game going. Now, like I said, that's going to start up in the trenches. That's going to start up with this offensive line. You know, Alex Leatherwood, is he going to stay at guard? If he does, it's got to open up some holes for Jacobs. Because if Jacobs can get going, especially against the Denver Broncos, I'm telling you right now, the Raiders will win this game. If he got going against Chicago, the Raiders would have won that game. Even with all the stuff going on. If Jacobs could have got going. But it's almost impossible with that offensive line. They're not creating gaps. They're just not. And then they're not good in pass protection. So hopefully, obviously nothing they can do right now is going to help for this week. But during the bye week, I hope Mike Mayock, if he's still there and he's still the general manager, which he should be, he brings in some players. I don't care if you have to make a trade. I don't care what you have to do. But you need to protect your quarterback in order to win football games. That's the way it is. And now they're going up against another good defense. They went up against a great defense last week in the Bears. Now they're going up against a defense that's really good too. Very good too. So, in my opinion, this is probably going to be a low-scoring game. But everyone thinks that. And sometimes when everyone thinks that, it ends up being the opposite. But let's just take a look at the stats for players real quick. Derek Carr has 1,605 passing yards. Teddy Bridgewater has 1,180 passing yards. Rushing yards, like I mentioned, Gordon, he has 282. Williams has 247 for the Broncos. Bridgewater has 57. And for the Raiders, I mean, it's bad. Peyton Barber, 143 yards. After that, it's Josh Jacobs with 122. After that, it's Kenyon Drake with 57. Speaking of Kenyon Drake, John Gruden never got Kenyon Drake. He paid him a whole bunch of money, but he doesn't have Kenyon Drake doing that much. Kenyon Drake is a non-factor out there. Maybe, just maybe, now that Gruden's gone, Greg Olsen and Derek Carr can find ways to make Drake more of a threat on offense. Because he is a good player. There's no doubt about it. He is a good player. John Gruden was not wrong when he signed Kenyon Drake. Did he give him too much money? Yeah, probably. But this guy's a really, really good player. He can run the ball in space, and he's a really good receiving running back. So they got to find a way to get him going. They really do. And then, of course, when we look at the passing game, with Teddy Bridgewater throwing to his wide receivers, Sutton has 377 yards on the season. And after that, it goes Patrick with 302. And then, of course, Noah Fant. Got to watch out for him with 176. And then Henry Ruggs has 348 yards. Darren Waller has 319 yards. Hunter Renfrow, 305. Those yards, they got to go up. They would have been up, I think, if they didn't lay such an egg last week against Chicago. Those numbers should be up. They really should. All of those guys, by the way, missed some passes. Ruggs was off his routes last week. It was just a really bad game. I think mentally it really messed with the Raiders. Will it mess with them this week is the question. That will be the big question. Will it mess with them this week? Will it take them, 2 weeks to really get going? That could be it. I hate to say that, but they could be in this funk now for this. I mean, think about it. This is not a normal week of practice. This is a circus. There's no doubt about it. So it's going to be a little bit weird this week. Hopefully they can come together and go out there and play. I do know for a fact that the players, they're going to try to bond together here and play for their new interim head coach and try to get a victory here. So they're going to try their best mentally to prepare for this game and play to the best of their ability. But every player is different, obviously. You don't know what's going through everyone's mind. But the good news is you don't need to even worry about what John Gruden said in an email anymore, because John Gruden's not there. The only thing that affects this is John Gruden was basically running the entire organization. Now he's not. Derek Carr is going to have a lot more freedom at that line. He's going to have a lot more freedom. And I think that could be a good thing. That's why I'm not just saying the season's going to be completely over. I know I put a tweet out like that as soon as the John Gruden resigned. That's just because usually when a coach gets fired, the season's over for that team. But the Raiders are still 3-2, and anything could technically happen. If the Raiders were 0-6, let's say, yeah, the season would be kaput. But with 3-2, they still have a fighter's chance, a puncher's chance. So we'll see how the Raiders defense responds. Can they stop the Broncos in the run game? I think they'll be fine in the pass game. I really do. I think they'll be able to get after Teddy Bridgewater. The question will be, can the Raiders defense stop the Broncos from running the ball down their throats? And can the Raiders offensive line protect Carr long enough so he can get the ball out of his hands to his playmakers, to Henry Ruggs, to Hunter Renfrow, to Darren Waller? If they can do that and have a good run game, the Raiders could walk into Mile High and leave with a victory. We will find out on Sunday, guys. It's going to be one hell of a game to watch. We never know what's going to happen. We're going to find out. I will see you guys later. I will talk to you guys after that football game. Hopefully the Raiders get together and they win. And they just kind of keep stacking these wins and just trying to get through until the bye week. I think things will settle down during the bye week. But this is an AFC rival game. Let's not forget about that. This is a big game. Both teams tied for second place. The Raiders are only one game away from being in first place, and the Chiefs lost last Sunday. So this is a big game regardless for both teams. The Raiders need to focus on that and that alone. All right, everyone, my name is Stephen Michaels. This is the Raiders Daily.